When you live on a boat on the water, the entire world feels like your back garden. There's endless space, freedom to move, to swim, to hike and to dive. You never really feel stuck, so there's always somewhere you can go. But when your boat isn't doing what a boat usually does, and is on land, you really start to feel the walls around you. The 12-metre living space starts to feel smaller by the day, but we are starting to see the light at the end of this yard tunnel now. Our sails are going back on. The dinghy is coming out of hurricane hibernation, and we are starting to feel Tay-Lee's fire coming back. Does she currently have a rudder on? No. But that's all about to change, as we tackle the final few boatwork jobs in this week's bid. So stick around, click subscribe if you are new here, and enjoy.
Alright, so I've got the bow thruster propped off. I'm just going to give them a good clean up because they're disgusting. Then a bit of sand, and then I'm going to put them back on, and when we come to actually anti-fouling, we'll take them back off and paint all over them. But you can clearly tell we haven't been able to scrub the back of these since we last tooled out because there's so much growth on them, but that's what we're doing right now. We rarely mention our little shop on our website, but as Christmas is coming up, we thought it'd be the perfect time to mention that we sell Tay-Lee tees, stickers and wall prints. I think it's fair to say that by now all the profits go directly towards Tay-Lee. The link is down below if you want to treat yourself or one of your loved ones to these bits.
Today is such an exciting day. We are anti-fouling, and whilst some may dread it, we are very excited because it means we are one step closer to going back in the water. I need to go around with some tape and tape the water line so we don't get any antifoul on the gel coat, and we are actually changing it up from grey. We're going to black antifoul. She's going to look like a new boat by the end of the day. She is all taped up, ready to go, eh?
Yeah, just about.
It is day 2 of anti-fouling, and as you can see, she's looking very black right now. But yeah, just trying to race before the sun comes up too high and makes it impossible for us. Our neighbours are always saving the day, eh, Zach?
One of these. These anodes are obviously a little bit eaten, but nothing too bad that we can't continue using these for another season. We'll get some spares of these and just monitor these for the next year or so, or however long they last. And when we start seeing them really starting to corrode, we'll put on new ones, but these have definitely got loads of life left in them. You can see the other side as well is perfectly fine.
We are done with the antifoul, and now is arguably the best time, as it's time to take off the tape. So
I'm gonna do one, Becca's gonna do the other.
Go on,
yeah.
Do the honours. Woo, antifouling's done.
Okay, so all the shaft is obviously back in, the props on. We're not gonna put any antifoul on the shaft this time, or the prop, because we want to try something a little bit different that we've heard can work quite well. I know prop speed is a great option for these, but it's really expensive for prop speed. So we're gonna leave it for a bit. Next time we haul out in how many years or whatever, we might add it then, depending on how well this works. But what we're gonna do for the meantime is I'm gonna polish this up some wet and dry sandpaper and get it super smooth and polished and everything like that. Same with the prop, I'm just gonna touch up a few bits which got a little bit of antifoul on it. And then, before we go back in, we're gonna grease the whole thing up, because apparently with growth and everything like that, it can't stick to the grease, and it can't stick to well polished surfaces. So we're gonna give that a go. I'm gonna probably go all the way down to 2000 wet and dry, just so it's like super shiny, and we'll just monitor it.
Oh, no way. We ordered this stuff from the States, and it actually got sent to Ava at Sail Life, and she was an absolute hero and repackaged it for us and sent it on. And she's put in a little gift bag in, and honestly, I'm actually gonna cry. She sent some cards. She sent some
apple cider, spiced apple cider.
Pumpkin spice cookies.
Oh, I'm having one of those right now.
Oh my god, and a card. Ava, if you're watching this, thank you so much.
Our lollipops are really good.
Zach's already cracked into it. Thank you.
No, that's
honestly,
very sweet.
It means the world to us right now. This is for a project which you probably would have seen the video for already. We do some time warping around here. But the thing we're doing today, which is the thing that's going to get us back in the water, is this. And you've seen one of these before. I'll leave the link for the video here. But we added a Las Drop shaft seal generation 2 to our grease packer in the engine room. Well, we got rid of that and subbed it out for this thing, which looks incredible. And we actually went to the Annapolis Boat Show and chatted to Kyle, who's the guy who runs the company. Such a nice guy. We had emailed him before about the shaft seal, and whilst I was there I was like, oh, we've like just taken apart our rudder seal, it's old packing and everything like that, it's getting a bit rusty in some bits, so we don't really want to put it all back together. And so he was like, oh, why don't you just use a thing for your rudder? Yeah, and so I didn't really think about ever using one for it, but you can use them for this as well. It's a slightly different design to the other one, but we're going to open it up and have a look. Yeah, go on, do the honours. We also this morning gave the quadrant area and where the old grease packer was a really good clean, just to get all the rust off. And wow. That's thick. That's wicked.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Nice.
Sweet. Instead of having a carbon ring, this one's just got, if you can see through there, that little rubber seal that's a bit bigger than the other bit. You can see it here a bit better, this one here. This is what's going to be keeping it dry. That we've got to tee off above the waterline again somewhere, but that should be nice and easy. But all we're going to do is put that on the current like exit pipe that we've got for our shaft, tighten both those hose clamps up, and then the shaft will go through that. We'll tighten everything up and Sorted.
Before we install the new one, we wanted to share what happened on an offshore sail this time last year. I've got a little bit of a funny story here. And it's funny now, it's all past. Do you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
So we were sailing to the Canary Islands and we got there and we tied the lines on and all was fine, and Zach said, I don't want to alarm you, but, and I thought, oh gosh, here we go. We've had a steady stream of water coming into the boat for the last few days. I was like, what? And essentially, where the rudder stock comes through, there was just a stream, and Zach could put his finger in the stream, and he thought not to alarm me because, you know, what's the point of spreading fear amongst the boat?
I was watching it, and if it got any worse, someone would woke me up anyway, because it would have been like the Bilge is going off.
Yeah.
So I just...
it was just me then.
No, it was just you, yeah. So you would have alarmed me. Bilge going off.
Great. So yeah, it's fine, but we did have a steady stream coming in. We didn't share it at the time because it was one of those kind of like, oh, moments, but it all kind of makes sense now. And actually, I will just say, we did fix that problem way before the Atlantic. So we had a bolt. Do you have the bolt to hand?
Yeah, it's down. I'm not
Okay.
taking it out at the moment.
We had a bolt, and essentially when we found the stream of water, we hadn't grease packed it, so we borrowed Son's grease packer, we rammed it full of grease, and then we put the bolt in and it stopped.
Yeah, there's more to it though, because there was an old bolt in there, but it had rusted out fairly significantly because someone hadn't put a proper stainless steel fitting in there. It was this just like piece of, that's probably where most of that rust has come from. Might be in that bolt, because this is all, look at that, that's lovely.
Yeah, that is lovely.
There was an old rusty bolt in there that someone had probably put in there just they might have lost the old one or something like that. No idea what happened. So when we got there, we tapped the hole and put a new bolt in to stop the grease coming out, because what had happened is we had some bigger seas going down there, and as we've gone up and down, the water had slowly pushed its way back through the packing and back through the grease, and a long line of grease had been pushed out of there, and when the grease came out, it was just water behind it pushing it.
Yeah, so it makes sense. We weren't concerned, but that is the story. Fun times. So yeah, that's the time we were offshore and had a steady flow of water coming into our boat. Another reason for the upgrade to Lasdrop.
First thing I'm going to do is just loosen all of these up. It's already really clean down there, so we just need to loosen these two hose clamps off. That should do. When we're installing this as well, we want to be a bit conscious about where the hose is going to go on here. So the hose got to come off here. We don't want it coming up through the quadrant area here, because there's a lot of moving parts and stuff like that, and this has got a vent above the waterline. So the only place we can really do that in here, we don't think we can really squeeze it in here anywhere, but what we're going to do is run it out around the back of here, and then our exhaust goes through a hole there, which we'll show you in a minute, and then it's going to go up to probably about here, which is well above the waterline. We've also got to put a little loop in that as well. So yeah, we'll install this first, and then after we've got the shaft in and the rudder all on, we're going to come back in here and do all of the hose stuff here.
Like the other one, because we're a hull below 10 knots, a displacement hull, at low speeds the water supply line can be installed as a vent line that allows air to escape from the seal instead of water injection. At these speeds the stern tube is typically flooded, thus providing plenty of lubrication, the rudder tube in this case.
This is also very different. This actually could go on a boat above 10 knots because it's not for the rudder, it's not for the shaft, this is for the
But our rudder tube is flooded. Oh, I've got so much grease on me.
Yeah.
Our rudder tube is flooded all the time anyway.
Yeah, but the 10 knots doesn't apply to this because it's for the steering system.
Okay, yeah, I guess because on planing boats that's still
and
below.
It's going really quickly as well, so it needs extra water flowing through there to keep it cool. This is very, like this can pretty much go in it. Oh, this could be interesting. Okay, I might have to... That's better. Okay, now I'm going to slide that all the way down to the bottom. Alright, that is sitting on the bottom now. So, we'll put this on, which is where all the magic happens. Oh, God.
It's on?
Yeah.
Nice. Explain what we just had to do.
So we had to cut the tube a few times because it couldn't quite fit on with how little room we've got down here, but it's all on now. and we're going to tighten up the hose clamps, but it looks really good.
We just spoke to Kyle, the guy who owns the company, and he said it's absolutely fine to take some of the hose off, but we're happy we checked with him because you never quite know. But as long as you can get the 4 hose clamps on and there's a good seal, then you're great. But yeah, we sent all the dimensions, but I guess the angle that we had to get it in at, we probably didn't factor that in, but it's in and it's on, and that feels great.
So little wiggle room.
Looks perfect though, look at that. Whew.
So this is where it got a bit interesting. We were ready to install the rudder, but it now weighed 100 kilograms, and rudders are really bloody awkwardly shaped. So after a few debates about the angle and the way that we need to lift it, and a bit of anti-foul chipped off from the shaft, we decided to call in help from a few guys working on other boats.
Alrighty, so a lot later in the day. Who knew it'd take a day to put a rudder back on? But we are on the home stretch. It is in the seal at the top, and now we just need to lift. We need to do a few things at once. So we need to lift it up, we need to secure the skeg, we need to secure it here, secure it there, secure it in there, and there where the bolts go through, and then prop it up and go in and do all our magic inside. But we want to get this setting because tomorrow it's going to rain, so we need to get going. That's fine. Also, didn't catch it early on camera, but we cleaned all the grease out of this rudder tube, stern tube, whatever. There was a lot of grease in there, so we spent hours carrying in and getting it all out. So yeah, plan now, get the skeg on, yeah? Anyway, we then realised we couldn't get the skeg on and needed to drop the rudder again, even after getting the shaft already through the new seal. I won't lie, there's a fair bit of swearing at this point, so it's probably best this is just a time lapse to some pretty chilled out music, as in the moment we were anything but chilled. We then seeker flexed the area for the skeg and went to lift it up, and just couldn't get it to go back up. The seeker was setting, so after a frantic run around the yard to gather as many helpers as we could, we finally had everything in place. And the bolts were done up. Phew. The rudder is on.
Never dropping a rudder again.
That was a really tough...
That was the hardest thing we've ever done.
There was one point where Zach was lifting it and 2 French guys came over and next door neighbour came over and everyone was kind of helping out, but it was hectic. We were like scrambling around, smoothing the seeker on, it was starting to set, and it was quite the experience. I'm really glad that's done.
I'm done. Alright, so this is the bronze or copper washer, which sits underneath this, which sits on top of this unit. Here is a big disc. The thing with this, we need a little bit of grease on this, but we don't want too much, because if we put too much on and it goes down the shaft, it could get into the seal. So I'm going to do the tiniest bit on each one of these, and we'll just monitor it and see how it's getting on. Just like that. And same for that. These 2 bolts here have got to line up with a shallow hole in the shaft to be able to lock in this whole unit, and so this rotates with the shaft. That's all locked in now. What I'm going to start doing next is putting the actual quadrant, which is this, I don't know, D bow shaped kind of thing on. The back of the unit is there. We've got 4 bolts in there that bolt the whole thing together. That bracket there is the autopilot arm, which I'm going to put on afterwards. And then lastly is the autopilot, which clips onto the end of there where that little kind of split pin thing is. Okay, that's it.
Why are you laughing?
I'm just getting really greasy.
Oh, you're getting the carpet greasy.
Yeah, it's one little bit there.
Okay.
Okay, that's loosely on. Let's grab the other one.
Good job, Zach. Is there only one slot I can go in then?
Well, if you look at where the wires come out of, that one comes out lower and this one comes up higher.
Yeah.
Goes to this one, and this pulley's in line with the top groove here. So I just need to make sure they're actually in the grooves. That goes in there.
That is all back in place. Just starting to rain, so we've got to do this quick. But yeah, knock it out. Careful with the nail.
Oh.
He's on.
Sweet. She stands. That's crazy! Ugh. What? There's no play.
Not even in the bearing. Woohoo!
All of that play was coming from that.
Zach, we did a thing. Yeah, happy?
Yeah, solid.
Ah, cockpit drain is draining on me.
Maybe again.
Yeah, it's moving! Woohoo! Woohoo! How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels a bit lighter. It does feel a bit smoother, doesn't it?
It definitely feels smoother. It's not like... It feels nice.
I think the packing was obviously getting stuck in it a little bit, wasn't it?
It feels like even movement the whole way around as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. Almost ready to go back in. We still need to put this on, which is...
Our strainer for our engine intake.
Yeah?
Yeah. Everything out. There's fireworks going off because it's the start of Carnival in Aruba today, which is crazy early. The rest of the Caribbean starts in like February time, but there's also karaoke going on, and I think I'm ready for boat work to finish for a little bit and to get out and kind of enjoy ourselves. I remember what this thing called living really is, not just existing in a boatyard, cracking through jobs. It's going to be nice to get out there again.
Alright, so I'm in our slightly chaotic engine room at the moment, and one of the things we need to do before we go back in the water is replace our old water strainer. We've got one of these new Vetus, I think this is a 330 model, but yeah, our old water strainer used to sit on there where this new True Design one is now, and the old strainer used to be mounted directly on top of it, with our old grease packer mounted around here. Well, the plan now is that we're just going to mount it on that wall. For those who don't know what a water strainer is, before salt water passes through your engine to cool it, it needs to go through a filter, like in here, that mesh at the bottom there, underneath that clear housing. It needs to go through that to make sure that you don't pump seaweed or anything like that into your engine and clog the impeller or cooling system at all. So it's a really important bit. You want to put raw salt water into your engine without filtering it a bit. Getting clogged would be a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, I'm going to install that now, and it should be fairly simple, touch wood. With these, you're meant to have 2 hose clamps as well, and each of the ins and outs. Same with the seacock as well. So actually, I'm going to get a few more of these hose clamps because I'm almost out now. I ended up moving the Vetus a little bit up because these tubes that were the only ones I could find around here are not that bendy. And having it that low, I couldn't actually get the tube on, so putting it up here just to make my life a lot easier, and I don't think it's bad there. It'd be a bit easier to open and close it when we just come straight into the engine room, so it's alright. The final job on the list was to install the new super duper bilge pump we got while back in the UK. The old one was pretty gunked up, and we had wanted a high output one for a while, so it was the perfect excuse to pick one up. Oh, and we were also going to install a float switch while we were at it. Kind of looks like a pelican. I don't know if anyone else thinks that. Eye and beak. Oh!
Ew. That is so gross.
There's like hair and oil in it, and that's because of our shower pumping into it.
Yeah, that's really grim. But we're going to keep this and clean it up because it's really good to have a spare. And actually we have another spare, so we have 2 spares, which is always good to have. So it's all wired up, and now Zach's gone down into the engine room to press the float and to see if it all works. Go on, Zach.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh. Is it on properly by the switch?
You switch the right one on?
Yeah, just double check.
Oh, it's not on.
Oh. Nice.
Nice.